Thank you very much, Andrew, for this introduction. And I'm going to talk about the wood selection from temple structures in Sikkim, which is neighbor to Nepal. And I will give a short introduction and telling about the forest vegetation in Sikkim, and then about the different temple structures where we did the investigations, and then talk about the wood selection criteria for these temples. So as you see, then there's Nepal and Bhutan, and in between there is Sikkim. And this is all this Himalayan chain which you see here. And so that what is called the Eastern Himalaya is going from Nepal, Central Nepal, over Sikkim, Bhutan to Arunachal Pradesh and North Bengal. This is the Eastern Himalaya. And so then it has heavy rainfall from June to October, and this is from the Bay of Bengal, where heavy laden clouds are blown over and held by the mountains. So there's the heavy monsoon rain, and this has of course a large impact on the forest vegetation. You see here, Sikkim is now part of India. It was an independent kingdom, and it consists of 4 north, southwest, and east Sikkim parts. And so from there we did, in each part we did some temple investigations. This was done in cooperation with the Tibet Heritage Fund, which is an NGO, and this is dedicated to the preservation of temple structures in the Tibetan cultural sphere. And so we did also investigations, and they were done in Tibet, China, Qinghai and Sichuan, Mongolia, and India, Ladakh and Sikkim. So what they do is that they form craftsmen with the help of a chief carpenter. This is the chief carpenter, and he's teaching local craftsmen to become carpenters. This is one of the aims of the Tibet Heritage Fund. And then to do these investigations, we needed to collect wood samples from the temples, like here, getting a small sample, a wood sample from the temple. And this sample will then be cut into small slices to prepare it for the microscope. And from there we do the wood identification. So if we have a small piece, you need the 3 sections, the transversal section, the radial section, and the tangential section. And each section shows a specific pattern, and thanks to this pattern we can do the wood identification, because each wood species has its specific pattern. The forest vegetation in Sikkim is about 400 tree species, and then from low level up to 1,500 meters. Just to remind you, Kathmandu is 1,400 meters. This is the tropical zone. And then from 1,800 to 3,500 is the temperate zone, and up from 3,500 is the subalpine zone, and where you can find the conifer trees. And now from the temple structures, I will start with the Tuklakang Monastery, which is in Gangtok, the capital of Sikkim. It's the royal chapel. It belongs to the royal family, and it's an altitude of 1,400 meters, and had been reconstructed in 1920 after a fire due to an earthquake. Also in Sikkim, there are frequent earthquakes. And we investigated in this temple, and the major tree species which we found is Michaelia doltsopa, which is a magnolia-like wood. Then it was used for pillars and window boards. Other tree species is Shorea, it is the Sal Tree, and poplar, an Himalayan poplar for floor panels. This is the Michaelia doltsopa. You might find it here as it is the same climate zone. And this difficult, it is similar to magnolia, but what is the big difference is that it is an evergreen tree. So the flowers, there are flowers and the leaves at the same time. And magnolia only flowers, without the leaves are not yet out. So we took from inside of the temple, very small, from cracks in the pillar. And so then we go to the next building, is a little bit more north, is Rin-Chan Sukiya residence. It is a little bit higher from the 19th century, and it is a typical traditional building. That is where the monk, the guardian of the temple, lived in this building. And from 27 wood samples, the major tree species is Himalayan alder, is utis in Nepalese, and it is used for the most parts. Also, which you can see, they also use toni. It's a mahogany-like wood. It's just the color is like mahogany. And then also Shima valichii. It's from the tea family. This is the alder tree, and this is from Nepal. And this is the Shima valichii. It belongs to the tea family, and it is flowering from March to May. So you might find it now, flowering in Kathmandu. This is some inner side from the temple, from this house, traditional house. And now we go to the next. This is Nadak Monastery, and it is a little bit higher. It's 1,600 meters high. It's the oldest temple, 18th century. And here is the area. You see tea fields in the area. So this is the temple, and it has not been restored, but you see it has been secured by these structures after earthquake, again after earthquake. And then one of the major tree species is Shorea robusta, the Sal Tree, and it was used for the flooring, which needs a very hard wood. And so this is I didn't show the tree as it's growing now. It is, the Sal Tree is very interesting, is the tree where the historical Buddha was born. He was born under this tree, and his mother was holding the tree, and it was a Sal Tree. So it's a very important tree in Buddhism. Yeah, and here's some inner view. I hope it will be restored in a not so far future. With a very beautiful bracket. Next temple is the Paramahamsa Monastery, 2,000 meters high. And it is from the mid-17th century. It was a very beautiful temple, and after several earthquakes, it was reconstructed in concrete. And they think it's maybe more stable. It's all in concrete, but you see the cracks. It is not more stable, though. The concrete is harder. And then also it has other disadvantages. which is that, for example, in the inside, in summer it is very hot, and in winter it is very cold due to the concrete. So we couldn't get samples from the temple, but we could get it from a casting mold, and this was made from tony wood, Tona ciliata, and this is a kind of mahogany-like wood. And here this is the tree, and on the right side you see the wood, the reddish wood, tony wood. The next temple is the Tashiding temple. It is 1,400 meters high, and it is in a beautiful landscape. It's on top of a hill. And then in this temple we also didn't get many samples, just one sample we took from one pillar. And this was again magnolia-like wood for the pillar. And then in the more northern part is Manilakang temple, 2,800, and it's in North Sikkim, and there are a lot of conifers. There are many conifers, and in this little temple we took 33 samples, and this is main tree species is this Himalayan silver fir, Abies densa, and then also there was a use of Populus glauca, poplar tree, Himalayan poplar, and a kind of spruce, a Himalayan spruce, and some other wood species. So you see this temple needed to be restored also after earthquake. Then the paintings came off. So you see here the state after the earthquake. Here you see a prayer wheel made of wood, and it is also made of fir. These are the elder ladies from the village. They meet once a month and did the prayers for the village, and that was the day that we came, so they made the prayers also for us, and they also gave us tea and cookies. And this is the made of poplar. The bearing block is and bracket made of poplar is sculptured. And all in all, what I can say, the wood selection criteria then, so the temples are made from Micaelia, from this magnolia-like wood. The traditional building is made from alder, this Himalayan alder, Utis. Then their tree species of trees wood is also used for specific purpose. For example, in the Nadak monastery, there was the use of the resistant salwood for the flooring, or in the Manilakang temple, there was the use of poplar for carving, so needs a specific softwood for carving. And then, very interesting, there's also a religious tradition, is also one criteria. It says, and there's one publication on all Buddhist temples in Sikkim which mentions that specially trained carpenters are in charge of the main building construction. Then they use the fir, the main construction. But monks are in charge of the decorative works, and monks and also the community, in an act of devotion or make donations. So, and this explains, and this our wood identification showed, that some smaller fittings, so which are not from the structural part, were made from other tree species, like alder or magnolia wood or tsuga. And so this is very interesting. This wood identification will help us to understand the wood selection criteria. And I thank you for your attention.